All right, we're live on Facebook. Good evening, guys. Rich, Greg, how you doing?
Good. Hey, hey, good to see everybody.
Doing well.
Amazing show, amazing, interesting lineup today. Let's dive in. Not too much time to waste. Quick pause. We're always fundraising, right? And we always continue. We will continue fundraising every time because Facebook makes it very available and possible for you to just simply click on that button below our video, and you're able to kind of donate on the fly. Richard, David, what are we fundraising for today?
Our good friend Nanar Balabanyan's initiative, Hidden Road Initiative, serving border villages, educating Armenian youth in border villages. So Hidden Road Initiative is the charity tonight.
Amazing. All right, and obviously we have two new faces with us today. Let's intro the guests, and we'll have an amazing discussion in terms of what they are here to present. What is this initiative? We had a little chance to talk about it, but I'm very, very, very curious. And most importantly, I want people out there to understand what this is. David, I'll let you do the honors, although we all know each other very well.
We do. It's great to be with friends and have friends as guests on the show. Thank you, Greg. And I want to thank Alexon and Nade very much for joining us this evening. They are the co-chairs of this organization called United IO or United AIO for Armenian Inter-Org. They're going to share a lot more information about what this collection of Armenian organizations is and the upcoming conference on June 5th. And the purpose of that conference and why this has been organized. It essentially is a collection of Armenian organizations from around the country that have come together to put together some really, really important initiative, a really important initiative that's going to be for the benefit of Armenia. Alexon, Nade, thank you so much for joining us this evening. Welcome to Arach Media.
Yeah. Thank you for having us, David and Greg and Richard. So if you'd like, I could start with a little bit of the history, the background.
Yes, please give us the cliff notes on what it is, how is it organized, and then we can dive into some of the more kind of pertinent, to-dos or announcements and things that you're working on.
Yeah, sure thing. So my name is Alexandre Giragosyan. I am a member of the Armenian Bar Association. And I want to say this started about 2 years ago. The Armenian Engineers and Scientists of America, which the organization to which Nade is a part of which they were holding this leadership seminar. They were organizing it, and they told me about it. And I was like, oh, that's an interesting initiative you guys have. And it seems really pertinent to, the Armenian Bar Association members. And I asked, well, is that something we could join in on? And they said, yeah, they were very welcoming. So I said, okay, let's plan this together. So we started planning that together. And at some point we thought to ourselves, well, why not just open it up to the rest of these professional organizations that exist? There's lots of them. And so no one had any objections. So we started reaching out one by one. And we reached out at the time, I think there were about 8 other organizations that we reached out to, right? So Nade will go through the names of the organizations later, but just to give you a taste of it, there are really 2 types of professional organizations. There are ones that are trade-based, right? It's like Armenian Bar Associations for lawyers, Armenian Engineers and Scientists of America for engineers, Armenian Medical Society is for doctors. So there are the trade-based ones. And then there are also broader professional organizations like APS, Armenian Professional Society, or AGBU, Young Professionals, or ANCA Professional Network. These are broader, they're not limited to one profession or trade. So we reached out to all of them, the ones we knew of at least. And we're like, hey, you guys want to join in on this? And to our, not surprise, but to our happy delight, everyone was very willing to work together. And so we started planning this event. It was a one-day conference called How to Start Your Own Business. It was very well attended. I think there were about 200 participants. We held it at the New York Life building in Glendale.
Okay.
And so it was really successful. And then, we just all kind of went our separate ways until we wanted to organize another event. So that was I want to say that was about 1.5 years ago when that event took place. We started organizing 2 years ago. The event took place a year and a half ago.
Okay.
And then the war happened, right?
Mm-hmm.
And all us organizations are scattering and trying to figure out what to do to try to be helpful. And at the time, we thought to ourselves, okay, well, instead of pursuing a bunch of individual initiatives, which we were already doing, why don't we see if we can do something collectively?
Okay.
So we reached out again to our existing connections, and we said, hey guys, are you interested in doing something together again? Everyone obviously said yes, because everyone's trying to help.
Mm-hmm.
So we got together, we started planning, and we started inviting more groups now. And this time around, it grew from like 8 to like, we doubled in size. I think we were like 16, but then the war ended abruptly, as we all know. And we couldn't get anything off the ground in time. And we thought to ourselves, okay, what do we do now? Do we just go about our separate ways and, leave things as they lie? Or do we try to continue organizing together to try to get something done?
Okay.
And the group decided, no, let's continue. Let's see if we can do something. And so we continued organizing, and we came up with some ideas. And we thought, well, X guy has a good idea, B person has a good idea, but how do we know we have the best idea?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because if we're going to put what I think are like the most highly educated Armenians in Southern California,
Mm-hmm.
these young professionals, and by the way, I say young professionals, and I only use that term because the organizers themselves are in their 30s for the most part. But these are professional organizations, right? So we have highly educated individuals that are motivated and are willing to work together. So we want to do the best possible idea we can. How do we know we have the best idea? We don't. We thought, let us organize a conference and let's solicit a bunch of ideas from the community, and let's have them, we'll create some kind of like criteria, evaluate them, and then the ones that are really, really good, let's hear from them. Let's allow them to present to us. And based off those presentations, maybe we can choose something that's appropriate for our group collectively to work on.
Okay, so
that's what we're doing now.
Amazing. So if I was to understand and just kind of clarify a couple of questions I have, is there going to be a selection of one project at some point? So from what I understand, it's a pooling of a bunch of organizations coming together, which is amazing. We need some unity. That is great to hear. But in terms of the actual structure of the way that it's going to progress, are we going towards one project, or there might be a few projects? What's the idea behind there?
Yeah, what's really cool about this is that it's very flexible. We don't, that part hasn't been determined yet. And by the way, it's not a situation where you either are in it or you're not in it, or like we choose, the majority chooses and binds the rest of them. Every organization can come, every organization can leave. They can work on any project they want. The intention is to work on something and to get it done collectively. That is the intention. I think it's probably also helpful to explain, in explaining what we are, I think it's probably also helpful to explain what we're not. What we're not is a representative body for the diaspora, right? So when you think about a representative body, you might think of like the Pan-Armenian Council in Southern California. That's intended to be a representative body. Those people accept like foreign emissaries, so it's like the Gato-Lagos comes from Armenia, like the Pan-Armenian Council will go meet with him, right? I think you folks have something similar in Northern California, I believe, right? What's that called?
AGCC, the Armenian, for the genocide commemorative, we have an umbrella organization, but that's just, it comes together and it pulls from all the orgs to commemorate on April 24th.
Right. Yeah. So we're not, this isn't a representative body. We're not speaking on behalf of the community. What this is a collection of organizations, it's a coalition that's initiative based. We're just trying to get stuff done. Yeah. And we think we can get stuff done better if we work together.
Amazing.
That's really great. Nade, maybe you could tell us a little bit more about exactly what United AIO is and the organizations that are involved.
Sure. So as you know, Alexander did a good job giving a background on United IO, but it's not a formal entity. So it is a non-formal coalition, in a way you could describe it as such, of mostly apolitical, professional, nonprofit organizations. where we come together for specific events and we disband. We all have our respective organizations that we're a part of. But the events that we have undertaken are mostly professional events, such as this conference. And so United IO represents United Armenian Inter-Org. And for this, we provided a name in particular for United IO, just so there was a name to the organizers and the co-sponsors behind this conference. And so I'd like to kind of go into, actually, if you want to, I can briefly mention the organizations that are involved in sponsoring. So we have quite a long list and it's grown. It's about 18 organizations now.
Amazing.
We have Armenian Engineers and Scientists of America, Armenian Bar Association, Armenian American Medical Society, AGBUYP, which David is a representative of and a member, AESA, ARPA Institute, ANCA Professional Network, Armenian Assembly of America, Armenian Eagles Foundation, Armenian Professional Network, Armenian Professional Society, Armenian American Nurses Association, She Loves Collective, Neruj Peace for Armenians, Tekeyan Cultural Foundation, Zoravik, and Armenian American Public Service Employee Association. So as you can see, a lot of Armenian, but all either cultural, professional, nonprofit organizations. And I believe you're sharing our website with all the logos that you can see there. So 18 total, we're growing. We have a very open policy about anyone can join. If you have any ideas, you want to join our effort, you want to organize this conference with us, we're very open. So please join us, let us know. And we're doing a lot of outreach as well to bring on more organizations. By no means do we want it to just be limited to these 18. So it's just really a diasporan effort, because this conference is meant to be an engaging conference for Armenia and the diasporan. So I can go into a little more details on the conference if you guys would like, just to kind of.
So that would be kind of the next kind of focal point, is when you are going to have people, I guess, come to you. And is that from what I understand? Yeah,
I'll just say, Nade, thank you for going over that. It's a really impressive collection of organizations. I have been able to attend a couple meetings so far. It's been really impressive, the work that's been done, all the time, effort, and contributions that have been made by all the co-chairs as well as the organizations. And yes, like you're mentioning, Nade, like all of this is leading up to something on June 5th, correct? There's a conference on June 5th that'll be most of the day, which the goal of that conference is to result in actual concrete projects to implement in Armenia, correct? What can you share with us about the conference?
So the conference is solution driven. It will be a full day conference, invite only. So the objective is to gather and focus the community's intellectual and material resources to address a specific set of problems facing the Armenian community in the context of Armenian and diasporan relations. The mission is to identify challenges, propose solutions, and build a new model for engagement to meet those critical needs of Armenia. So the full day conference, we have actually on the flyer, we have the times listed. It's on Saturday, June 5th. The conference will be divided into two segments. The first segment will be various panels with speakers who are experts in their respective fields, from medical, legal, science, engineering, so on, PR, advocacy. They will be going over the problems the diaspora in Armenia has faced. And the second segment will be geared toward solutions to those problems. So this is where you'll hear the proposals within all of these different segments of legal, medical, and so on and so forth. And it is a solution-driven conference. So it's not a discussion of problems, but it's really, what are the solutions? What are the proposals that people have for the long-term, to meet the long-term needs of Armenia and the diaspora?
Okay, I'm just have a quote, kind of like a side footnote. So when we say Armenia, right, in this picture, or it's not.
Sorry, I didn't hear you. Can you say that again?
When we say the word Armenia and what the challenges of Armenia are we including Artsakh? Is that a possibility, or it has to be just Armenia proper?
Well, when I said Armenia, I didn't mean necessarily specifically Armenia. You know, I think it's the Armenian diaspora, Armenia community, Armenians in general, just, I think it's all encompassing.
Got it.
Yeah, obviously the huge need right now. Well, Artsakh, obviously coming out of the war, Armenia has lots of needs as well. Greg, perhaps we can ask about the actual proposals.
Yeah,
more on that. Yeah.
My question is, so how does the process work in terms of for that conference? Is it from, let's say, from obviously it's an invite only conference, right?
Yeah.
It's a little bit more secure. That makes
sense.
Yeah,
exactly, for security and those reasons.
Absolutely. And then any participant can have a proposal if it's very well kind of, not kind of raise your hand and say stuff, right? But it's like you need to submit a proposal. Is that how it will work?
Yeah, I think perhaps Alexan wanted to kind of go over some of the proposals. So Alexan, do you want to maybe elaborate on that?
Perfect.
Sure thing. So just a clarification about the invite-only portion. There's a two-tier system we've created. The two-tier system allows people that have invitations to have a greater level of participation.
Perfect.
Those who are members of the public that want to register can still register, but they're going to have a lower level of participation, and their registration will be reviewed and approved. So you don't automatically get in. We have reviewers that are going to review your application, confirm you're a real person, stuff like that.
Right.
So that's the registration portion of it. The proposal portion of it, really this whole conference is about the proposals. Really this is what it's about. And this is how it works. If there are people in the community that are working on a project now, right? Whether you're an organization or you're an individual, if you have an idea that's unique and interesting that you haven't pursued yet, but you think is appropriate for a collection of professional organizations to take on, register and submit the proposal. When you click that submit the proposal button and you register, you're going to get, once you're approved, you'll get this criteria. And based on that criteria, you submit the proposal, and we have a team that evaluates it to make sure you met the criteria. If you did, on the day of the conference, you're going to be given an opportunity, I think it's like 5 to 7 minutes, to present, and we're going to ask you questions that day of. And at the end, we're going to be evaluating all these different proposals, and the individual groups are going to see, what they want to take on. So I think when we think about a conference, I think most people, when they think about a conference, they think, I'm going to receive information and I'm going to go home. That's not what we're doing here. This is different. At this conference, we're receiving information, but I said there's 2 levels of involvement, right? The level of involvement where it's invite only, they're going to be part of a special chat. This collection that's going to be chatting, the idea of this conference is, in part, we're going to form a community that's going to exist after this conference is done. And they're all going to be members of this chat group, right? Okay. In addition, we're getting a bunch of ideas, and we don't just go home and forget about it. One of these ideas are going to materialize into reality. We're going to undertake something, and we're going to make it a real thing. We're going to make it happen, and we're just waiting for that good idea to come along. So if there's anyone out there who knows of someone that has a good idea, let them know about us, and we're happy to review their idea. And I'm wondering, is there a way? I know, so we have our website, so you can obviously reach people through our website, but is there a way someone can reach out to you and you can also give them my information? Because I'm happy to talk to people through it.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Absolutely. We will kind of continue kind of signal boosting what you are doing. And that's great that you have already a portal dedicated for this. So that means like today, if somebody has a proposal, I know I might even. No, I'm serious. But the other question, and so there is a way to do this, and there's already a structure in place, which is amazing.
Yeah, they could message us. They could put a comment in the feed. There's lots of options. Yeah, absolutely.
And the link is already in the feed, so whoever is watching this, whether it be now or whether it be in its lifespan, it'll be available to them. Now, if I understand correctly, and I don't mean to hijack any part of the question, but as I understand it, there's a time limit to submitting proposals and for and for registering to attend, is that correct?
Yes, May 15th would be the deadline for submitting proposals. And we do require registration prior to submitting the proposals. So the first step is to really go to United.io, so unitedaio.org, which is our website. And from there, you can see the conference details. You can see the co-sponsors, the logos that you were just showing, and register. Then after that, you'll be granted access to submit the proposal. But we do want to stress the fact that please review the proposal criteria. There's very specific criteria that we are expecting, that we're asking for people to provide. And then after that, you can submit your proposal.
Would it be too much to ask to kind of list some of those criteria right now, or that would be too detailed for the conversation? I'm just curious, what are some of the benchmarks? Which is great because it means that there is a filtration system. It's not just.
Can we touch on the 5 areas? Can we touch on the 5 areas, guys, or no? Can we touch on them or no?
Sorry,
the 5 areas of focus. Can we touch on that or no?
Actually, I wanted to kind of go over the, if you're referring to the panels. So the 5 substantive panels that we will have will be public health, national security, innovation and education, business, public relations and advocacy. And so those are the 5 panels. And if you have a proposal, we'll have proposals within those 5 segments. And Alexa, do you want to kind of go over anything for proposals, any criteria, or?
Can I related obviously to United.io, but can I emphasize another point?
Please.
So what I was going to say was this group is also unique in the way we are working with our members. So there is no hierarchical structure, right? No organization is above any other organization. There are no officers. We have co-chairs of committees, right? But that's like ad hoc. There are no formal officers. We haven't voted to make anyone chairman or anything like that. We allow individuals to participate in the organization. So if there are people that are particularly motivated, we welcome them to join us and organize. We also seek out organizations, like formal organizations, to come and join us. Our organizations, although this is led by the professional organizations, there are lots of different organizations. We have like art collectives that are part of it. We have Facebook groups that are part of it, right? Very like non-traditional organizations. This is intended to be fluid. Some of this stuff is like being created as we go along, right? Like we're being as flexible as possible because we don't want to be hampered down by the formalities, and we don't want to be hampered down by our community's politics, right? Because we're initiative based. We're trying to get stuff done.
Excellent. So I feel that there's a filtration that's going to happen here. We want to be inclusive. We want to be not super hierarchical, but very kind of focused. And we want to be kind of open so that it's inclusive to everybody, because, our community can easily splinter, which is, something that you are trying to avoid, which is commendable. That's phenomenal. We will do our best to kind of to signal boost, to lead people to your pages. Question: Have proposals have been already submitted? If you can comment if you can. If not, it's okay as well. I'm just my curiosity.
I wouldn't know that because I'm not part of the committee that reviews it. We're broken up into like multiple committees. My task is find organizations that are interested and get them to sign on. And
amazing.
I'll add, if there are organizations out there, if you yourself or you're part of an organization and you think to yourself, this is interesting, contact me and I'll let you know what this is about in greater detail. And then if you're interested, come join us.
Yeah, there are definitely a few individuals and organizations that are ready to submit proposals, because the sort of the website and the portion for submitting proposals has just recently been finalized. So definitely we have some people with proposals, but we encourage everyone to, kind of maybe promote this conference so that we can get more proposals. really, the more proposals we have, the more solutions we have, because again, this is very solutions driven.
Right.
Yeah.
And then becomes my questions guy.
So you can also submit a proposal, Greg, if you'd like.
I would love to do so. I have a couple of good ideas, and maybe you guys can shoot it down or not. But,
Well, that's great, Greg. That's what it's all about. And like Greg mentioned, we'll keep plugging it. And I know I'm getting involved with the marketing side of things on with the group as well. There's going to be some real big push and outreach very, very, very soon because we're getting pretty close in terms of the deadline and when the conference is. So.
okay, so there is a little bit of urgency there. Question, and then you guys can fire me after that. I have one more thing to say. In terms of the projects, right? For people to understand the scope, right? Are we talking about monetarily? Are we talking about, a few thousand would be something that you would want to aim at, or are we talking about hundreds of thousands, or the sky's the limit kind of thing? Because I mean, we do have 18 orgs on there, right? And between all the constituents of the orgs, there could be quite a heavy punch in terms of what can be achieved. So what is the scope that we're looking for here? What is the desire, I guess?
Did you ask, is there a
What's a
monetary
financial goal? Can I suggest, I don't know, in terms of education, buying 700 books for a kindergarten? That's like $5,000. Or can I say, let's overhaul 10 schools? That's $10 million.
No, this wouldn't qualify, because I'll tell you also what we're not looking for. We're not looking for ideas that are fundraisers, right? We're not looking for ideas that are inappropriate for a collection of professional organizations in the diaspora. It's like, an example would be like, let's go build a school, right? That's not appropriate for this group, right? In the fundraiser thing, we're not raising money. That's not what we're trying to do here. We're trying to use our skills and our skill sets to achieve something. We're also not trying to do anything political. So if anyone wants to submit an idea about overthrowing the government, like, this is not the forum.
Well, I mean, theoretically, that'll get weeded out too. So I think, right?
Yeah, it'll be weeded out. You guys, we do have some questions in the feed. Richard, do you want to address some of those?
Yeah. So the first question is, can people submit proposals if they can't attend the conference to defend them in person?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
That's a
Okay.
good question.
And so then the next question is, what is the Facebook page name? I will invite hundreds of Armenians to it. Now, it could be Facebook or maybe even Instagram.
Yeah, we have an Instagram, United.io. So please do promote. We'd love that. Thank you.
Yeah.
I will follow you on
And the website, of course, unitedio.org.
buying 700 books.
Get weeded out too.
What's going on? Okay, I mean, so this is phenomenal. I'm so happy that we're able to have this conversation. I always have 17 more questions, but I'm just gonna pause right there. But we'll do the best that we can to promote it, because it's definitely a phenomenal initiative, and I would like to help in any way I can.
Thank you guys so much, Arach Media, all of you, for having us on. We really appreciate it. If you guys do have more questions, send it over to us. We'll be happy to post, after this podcast, we can respond to them and, kind of engage in that conversation as well.
Absolutely. But for now, we'll reiterate, we have a deadline of May 15th for the submitting of proposals for your umbrella organization. You need to register before you submit, right? So there's no funny business there. And there's going to be a conference on June 5th or 6th.
Yes, 5th.
June 5th, yeah.
Amazing. And obviously, this is COVID. This is all virtual. There's no in-person.
Correct.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and it's also a global focus, right? There's a focus on including more people, so that helps with the virtual, right, guys? Yeah, very good.
All right.
Yes,
Well,
thank you so much for joining us. Yeah, we'll be sharing it. We'll share the flyer on here. We'll share the website. As more information keeps coming out, we'll keep plugging it.
Thank you guys for having us.
Thank you.
It was a pleasure.
Cheers to both of you. Great work.
Thank you.
Great job, guys.
Bye.
Best of luck.
Yeah, good night.
Good night.
All right. That was pretty cool, man.
Yeah, that was really cool. That's really cool.
Yeah, they're doing some great work. There's a lot of people involved, guys, and there's these organizations. A lot of these organizations I've never heard of. It's really it's really cool to be able to work with them and learn about what they're doing, and then also all coming together for this project. So
Hey, first thing I want to do before we get into the news is give a quick shout out to my man Jacob, who is our first donator for today. I really want to thank you, brother. Great job, well done. I'm always humbled when I see your name up there, and I'm so grateful.
Thank you so much. It's a greatly
yeah,
appreciated.
it's amazing.
We personally know the founder of the organization that you donated to.
Yeah.
She's an amazing person from the Bay Area that moved out there, and it actually moved out there day prior to the war starting. That's purely a coincidence. And Nanor needs all the help we can get her, and highly appreciate your contribution. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thank you. All right, guys. Well, that was really great. 30 minutes on the dot, and it was really great they were able to join us, and thank you guys for obviously for plugging this in, for allowing us to plug this in so quickly for tonight's episode. Shall we?
Yeah, we've got a lot to talk about. I mean, we've got everything from COVID in Armenia to some of the political issues, massive political issues that are still that we're still struggling with in Armenia, and how it's affecting the diaspora. There's everything from state-sponsored trolling from Azerbaijan that is in resurgent mode, criminal indictments of some mercenaries, an ugly theme park to talk about, and of course, then we can talk about our POWs. So there's a lot of news items. Which one do you want? You want to get to the COVID stats first, and just
let's do it. Let's
go straight through. Yeah,
David, if you can jump on that one. Obviously, I'll tell you what I know in terms of the global things, because I'm always checking COVID stats. Sorry, since March of last year. Here in California, knock on wood, we are doing better than before. Obviously, at one point we were like the epicenter of the world, circa December of last year. But the surges are on in other parts of the world. Hopefully by that graph, what I'm seeing is that Armenia is finally seeing its third wave at this point, third or fourth, and it's hopefully flattening off. A decline would be the next portion, but
hopefully, there was 726 cases yesterday. As of yesterday, total deaths in Armenia are now up to 3,775, with a population of less than 3 million. It's very concerning. There aren't many people that have not had a friend or family member in Armenia somehow impacted by COVID.
I'm not going to mention names, obviously, but this is how some of my conversations to a lot of my winemaking networks go. Blah, 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 blah. Oh, that entire winemaking family just got COVID. Entire.
Yeah.
The other day I was checking up on somebody. Oh, by the way, that entire family got COVID. And it's really concerning. It's really, really concerning because, I think we're trying to go through it as if like, we can get through it. But, as people tell you, COVID survivors have lasting effects still, lingering effects.
Right.
They do, yeah. It doesn't necessarily, even if you've recovered, it doesn't mean that you're fully healed, right? And a couple other things. Go ahead, Greg. Sorry.
I apologize. Just to kind of add to the topic, a few things on the COVID matter. Yes, the headline there read that the vaccines are on their way. Already, we're starting to see a lot of the anti-vaxxer rhetoric in such a small country like Armenia, where vaccination is going to save the day, as it does everywhere else, because I first and foremost believe in science, period. Lastly, the anti-masker thing is a problem in Armenia.
It is.
Surge, and if I look at my friends and family's Insta stories, it's as if there is no COVID. But one thing we know is the virus doesn't care what you think. The virus cares about what it wants to do, and that is infect fresh bodies. And a gross incident happened today or the other day where the Armenian report actually reported on this, and a woman, I believe, was stabbed to death. A man was stabbed to death on public transit for asking people to wear masks. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the level. And lastly, so we could leave this COVID topic because we have so much more to cover. Armenia is probably one of the worst countries that handled COVID, and that has nothing to do with the war. I'm just gonna leave it out there from the beginning. And people were,
Sure.
saying why that happened, but the Pashinyan administration initially brushed it off until now. It's starting to take it more seriously, but at this point the cat's out of the bag. Europe and other
Yeah.
well-behaved countries are going through third and fourth surges, so Armenia is definitely part of that next wave.
Yeah.
Anyways,
Yeah, the war didn't help, but to your point, Greg, it was never taken seriously from day one.
I just David, I just will not allow history to say, oh, we're going through it because we had blah 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 war. I remember seeing the stats in April of last year, and I remember
Well, if you remember also, I seem to remember that pretty early on all restrictions were loosened.
Yeah,
like there was restrictions, and then I'm like, oh, okay, no more. Like, wait a minute, like, anyway, yeah. So just
this I don't know how something as weird as a disease became so politicized, but I'm just gonna stay on the side of the truth.
You could probably thank our former president.
It's part of the global zeitgeist, which is that, with rapid access to information and disinformation that is so quick to spread, there's this impetus to want to try and find something to trust and try and find things to distrust. I mean, even today I had a conversation with someone here in the States who was like, well, if we still have to wear masks and we're going to have to get inoculated over and over again, then what is this thing really doing? And I'm thinking to myself, you don't even know what's in half of your food. Why are you questioning what's in this in the vaccine? You can't even pronounce like 90% of the things that you eat. So don't tell me that you've got a medical degree. I mean, I don't mean to be a jerk about it, but I think there's a lot of people that want to have backstage passes to every particular issue and don't want to have trust in anything. And at some point, I just have to think I'm not that important that the world wants to control my actions and put a microchip in my blood. So it doesn't matter, give me the vaccine. In fact, give me the appointment today, We
already have a self-appointed microchip that we carry every day.
We carry around these things. They know where we're at anyway. These things are hot mic. You can say, hey, Siri, can you change the channel on my whatever? And it'll do it. Why? Because doesn't matter. So whatever. Anyway, let's pivot. Can we move on? Like this? Let's talk about the political situation, because this is troubling. There's a lot going on.
Yeah, there really is. I guess we should probably start with how there's still snap elections scheduled for June 20, right?
Yeah.
And with that, Greg, maybe we can help everyone understand. With that, Pashinyan, now keep in mind, this is not him doing everyone a favor and stepping down as the one that lost the war, and the person in charge who loses the war should not be the person in charge for reconstruction. This isn't that. This is a political or a constitutional formality, right?
Yeah,
right.
Disbanding, I believe, of parliament, and then he is going to be appointed by his party as the interim prime minister that will carry the country to the snap elections, of which, by the way, a lot of the political parties are actually boycotting because they believe that he cannot be in power, period. As do I as well. Sorry, guys, I will always say this. And anybody that wants to challenge me has the right to challenge me, even come on the air and challenge me. I have no problem saying that. For various reasons, this man needs to go, for various reasons. And because of the framework of everything, the only opposition leader that is kind of bold enough to say, you know what, no, I will stand for the election, is the former president, Robert Kocharan. He mentioned, and I believe one more individual as well, they will be part of this election, as well as all the parties that are currently in the parliament, of which, oh guys, we can do an entire show on. They are
it's really complicated.
Such very, very opportunistic, people with desires and zero patriotism.
It really is. It's also important to note and caution, if my step party, Pashinyan's party, it retains power in the parliament as a majority, they can turn around and reelect Nikol Pashinyan, given the parliamentary government that Armenia has, correct?
Yes, absolutely. Which is what's going to happen.
Like what?
Yeah.
That would likely, right? Rich, you had some thoughts?
Well, I was just going to pivot to, like, it's interesting to me how the man could get reelected in spite of the crazy pivot that has been going on. I mean, didn't he rise to power because he was so anti-Russian, and now all of a sudden he's saying, "Oh well, we need more Russians on our soil."
Right.
The
amount of pivoting is just astounding to me.
The man is a populist above all else. Okay, so that's something that we need to understand about the man, and that's something that we need to talk about the man oftentimes. Because when people go Nikol, I was like, hey, give me 3 points you know about. And 90% of the diaspora falls flat on their face, except for he's the revolutionary that brought the revolution. Yeah. Well, what do you know prior to that? Do you know where was he involved with during the Sasnatserer? David, as Arach media started around that time, 4-day war, and the subsequent Sasnatserer incident with the police station. What do you know about 2008 and everything? What do you know about him being in hiding for months and months on end? What do you know about his political career starting during Levon Ter-Petrosyan? Oh, and by the way, why is everybody so against Serge and Kocharan and never mentioning the guy that created the corrupt political system in Armenia, which is Levon Ter-Petrosyan? Okay, all of these things are really, really, really concerning and curious to me. But let's move on.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's clear that Russia's presence in Armenia is helping.
Yes.
And the article we just put up a minute ago was that that the alliance with Russia is the key to Armenia's security. And I don't know, we've been talking about this for some weeks now, and how I don't know what the rest of the diaspora feels, and I don't know what you guys feel exactly, but my thought is it's very difficult to be in this position as an American who has struggled with the idea of Russia meddling in with America's elections. At the same time, the Americans haven't done anything for the Armenians. As a matter of fact, they've boosted money to the Azeris, who immediately came to attack us. And yet, I feel like I was raised an American, but I've got Armenian roots. And what am I supposed to do with this? The only thing that is saving Armenia right now is the person that is directly responsible for messing with America for the past handful of years. And so it's a crazy time for our Armenians, and it's frustrating,
Yeah, no, well said, Rich. We all share the sentiment. It's concerning, and even Pashinyan seems to be changing his tune, right? Like we just said, how much we would need to rely on Russia. Armenia needs to rely on Russia, while the U.S. is pushing Russia in other areas, right? The whole situation in the Ukraine.
Right. The other thing is we also need to be emboldened in understanding and learning from our conversations with people that we respect, such as Ara, when he came on and said, I'm always a little bit curious when American-backed State Department funded Radio Free Liberty reports on it. So but nevertheless, the statement is right. Armenia does need to be, Russia's presence is very important. Rich, to your point, when we say about American exceptionalism, this is a map of Latin America where America has staged coups. The country's in red.
Sure.
So
sure.
you know what?
I don't mean to say that we're this sovereign country that has never messed with anybody. That's not what I'm saying at all. I guess what I'm saying is it is troubling to be in a position where we are saturated with this idea of patriotism being about pro-America, and yet we're supposed to be a melting pot where we're supposed to honor and respect where we've come from. I mean, my father wanted me to be an American, but I'm clearly Armenian too. And so the only person that is saving Armenia right now, it's not the Armenian president, it's Putin. Yeah. So what am I supposed to do with that? How am I supposed to sit with that? the only way I can, which is to try and process it. And it's just the whole thing has just been a difficult pill to swallow. You know, and now America wants to assert itself over Russia, you know, or over Ukraine. Now it wants to puff up. You know, just earlier today, I saw an article that America was going to assert itself into the middle of Africa because there was a terrorist attack there. Oh, it just turns out that terrorist attack happened to be centered around oil production. So America is now going to send people over there. It's just too bad that Armenia and Artsakh didn't have anything but, you know, Christians in there. Really, you know, we didn't have oil. You know, it's
geopolitical interest. It's been brutally exposed to us all by what we've been through the last 6-7 months, right?
Which is kind of to tie everything back always would be very interesting to see that this org that Alexander and Nare are, you know, part of. One is, you know, one represents lawyers, right? That can address one of these things. You know, I'm sure these are tackleable issues. But for example, the one thing we'll speak about POWs in a minute is how egregiously mislabeling the U.S. State Department via the American Embassy in Armenia keeps calling them detainees.
Right.
Because POWs have a legal term, you know, and carry a legal meaning.
Yeah, it's extremely neutral, and it's not okay. It's not okay.
Yeah. Well, you know, I don't want to spend too much time on this the next one, because this is kind of a last minute edition by yours truly. But and I just want to show this to you guys really quickly. Facebook, as we are broadcasting on right now, and soon to be YouTube as well, but you'll see it on the recording. But Facebook isn't interested in countries like ours. This is an Azerbaijani journalist who they're talking about the Azeris and the troll networks that have been on ban for months and now are being resurgent on Facebook. And if there's anything that I remember from the war, it, you know, amongst many things, it was the uphill battle that we had in the digital sphere. And it was mainly because of these trolls, not just in Azerbaijan, but in Turkey as well. And so what this is basically saying, and I'll paraphrase this entire article, and of course I'll post it up here, but this really talks about how, you know, the state-sponsored troll networks back on Facebook trying to shape opinion and how oppressive they are as a government in general. The article is worth reading. We all kind of know it, but this is trying to bring this to a more broader audience. This is The Guardian. It isn't some obscure publication. So just a little FYI to everybody.
And the loophole, actually, yeah, I zoomed in on that article. I read it through. The loophole is actually quite interesting for those, you know, we are on Facebook, obviously utilizing it as a platform, also syndicating it on YouTube as well. David and all of us will be sharing those links. It's with a little bit of a lag time as we upload those, but if you are not a Facebook user, you can still you know, watch Arach Media slightly with a little bit of a lag, but we will upload as soon as we can. But the loophole is actually interesting. The loophole is this: it's any person. Facebook wants you to have one registration per one human being, right? However, one human being can create dozens upon dozens of pages. And as a page, I can rename that page to Greg Nemeth. The only way to tell that I'm a page that's a business page is underneath my name, you will see a coffee shop or a beauty salon or something that if you zoom in, you will know that it's actually a page. And as that page, I can then start commenting. And they've underlined that out of 300, and this particular example, out of 301 of comments, only 3 are real. Think about it. 301 comments, 3 are actual commentators. The rest are these fake bots and troll pages.
Yeah, maybe for another day and another time we can have a discussion about people versus bots and all that, because I mean, you know, some of the intel that I have is a friend of mine owns a company. At the time he was with another company, they were trying to go public at the same time that Facebook was trying to go public. And what Facebook was doing was squashing them, you know, economically, to try and make the case that some of these accounts, that their accounts should be legitimate, be considered legitimate, because it would improve their IPO. That's so that is a whole other hour that we could do just on that kind of stuff.
But it's important in our conversation, guys, because of what we saw during the digital warfare that was unleashed on Armenians, right? And also understand that the average user, which is, 30 to 55 on Facebook now, Facebook is older, right? Sees comments and opinions are shaped because of those comments.
Right.
As a matter of fact, our prime minister as well is a master of utilizing social media. So that tells me that we need to be a little bit more critical about thinking. Sometimes when we think something is popular, it's the perception of it being popular. Is it
Well,
actually popular? Facebook is a smoke and mirror machine. Okay,
Yeah.
this it's distorted reality.
For
And it's-
sure. So I would like to just take 1 second to direct people. If you're watching this post live, or even if you're watching it live right now, I would suggest that you go back to the last 2 weeks and take a look at the Arach Media broadcast, because the first one we did was to talk about where you could get information. The second one was to talk about what you could do with that information, how you could share with it, or share it and get a wider audience, a more focused audience. So obviously, we're just going to have to step up our game. I mean, if we're not going to get oil money, we're going to have to organize, and we're going to have to out execute them. And I think authenticity goes a long way. So,
Yeah, I'm glad you brought this up, Rich, and shared this, and it's directly related to the last 2 weeks, like you just said. It is an extremely uphill battle. It is an all-out assault online that they conduct every day, all night, and a lot of them are automated bots. Probably majority are, and it's not just it's Facebook, it's Instagram, it's Twitter. Right? A lot of it was on Twitter, especially during the war. And again, it's important to remember, like we said last week, do not engage with the bots, do not engage with these trolls, because it's only going to amplify their voice, which is clouding everything, like you said, Greg, so well. So yeah.
So we've got one more real big topic before two big topics before we get into our POW discussion, and then we can end the evening. We've got, some talk about the criminal indictments of the Ankara-based mercenaries. Yeah.
Yeah. I thought this was encouraging. I thought it was interesting as well. It seems like it's based out of Sunik, but I'm not certain on that. I'm not sure what else we know. Greg, do we know anything else about this?
These are guys. Yeah, I remember them greatly. These are guys captured during the war. And what do you call it? This is our actual. Not that anybody cares in the international world, but these are actual individuals of non-Turkish origin, of Arabic origin from Syria. Well, maybe they're Turkic, but they're from the Syrian provinces, and they were the mercenaries fighting in the war. Be very, very alarming to anybody, of course, because this is a NATO nation kind of inciting and hiring mercenaries, but I wouldn't put it past Turkey. However, there is now evidence that they are going to do the same in the Ukraine buildup against Russia.
Yeah, right.
I know nobody cares about Armenia. We all know at this point, but at least Russia should take notice. And I know they do, and I know they have, because they've dealt with Turkey and Syria. They've definitely dealt with them here in the Caucasus, and I hope they don't have to do it, but the escalation in Ukraine is very, very bad.
By the way, I don't have an article pulled up, but wasn't there some information about many of these mercenaries were angry because they weren't getting paid?
Oh yeah,
absolutely. But this is
during the war and even now, right? Sorry, Greg. Go ahead.
Well, it's because there's no care for these people either, but they are kind of very poor. Some of them are ideology driven, which is kind of scary, but most of them are just poor individuals that were being promised something and maybe delivered upon it, or maybe too late. Whatever the case is, I don't care. Personally, I don't care. I do not care. What I care about is that this was done, and the world seemingly doesn't give a damn about it.
Well, yeah. Mercenaries have been used in wars since war started. So it's nothing new, but it is troubling and it is frustrating. I think, for me at least, and I forgive me for interrupting you, David, because I know you were about ready to say something. So in a second, I just would say that it would be one thing if America didn't bill itself as such a righteous nation that is so benevolent, when we know, I mean, even in the picture you just showed, Greg, you know, we've been messing with people's elections forever. We have had dirt on our hands as Americans since America began. So
it's true. That's very true. The only thing I was just going to add, apparently Armenia's prosecutor general has declared 30 mercenaries wanted. We know there was likely hundreds, if not thousands, involved. And this is an indictment on those two mercenaries we showed. And I think this is interesting. They're facing trial for their role in the fighting, but this is happening. It's being, hold on a second. It's been sent to a court in the Sunik province, which is in the south of Armenia, but they're being charged for war crimes, international war crimes.
Yeah. Well, you know, the war crimes are awful, and we hope that they're punished. But in the meantime, they are mocking the war, and they're mocking Armenians specifically in one of the most cruel ways I have ever seen in my life. And I think there are plenty of testaments to human cruelty, but few like this. You guys want to unveil it as I begin to?
Yeah, I can speak.
Disgusting.
David, if you'd like to. I think this to me is not a surprise. I'm really, really shocked because of all the how low can you go rhetoric. Well, I'll tell you how low can you go. When you chop off an Armenian's head in 2004 during a training exercise in Hungary, when you teach your kids that there's nothing worse than to be an Armenian, when a dirty slur is to be called an Armenian, then when the president walks past essentially a display of helmets off dead Armenian soldiers through a tunnel of glory, not to mention what other slides I really almost don't want to go through. Yeah, these are wax figures.
We're gonna just
trigger warning.
Alert.
Yeah, trigger warning. Trigger warning. Yeah.
These are wax figures that there's another article that I have to find and I'll put up at some point. But they talk about how they deliberately tried to make them as ugly as possible.
So
yeah,
I want to use this. Yes. So this is as egregious as it gets, but I want to use this opportunity to kind of to speak to my dear, you know, first of all, I hate being, you know, marked as this kind of right-winger guy that everybody knows I'm not. But I want to talk to my, you know, Armenian pacifist community friends, and also want to talk to all of the people that are so eager to unblock the economic blockade, which, by the way, was imposed on us by both Turkey and Azerbaijan. And I want to ask those folks that are so eager to start trading with that nation. By the way, that was the president of that nation walking through a hallway of Armenian dead soldier helmets. How do you want to trade bananas with them? What do you want to do? What do you think they're gonna, what respect, what self-respect do you have? You do not live in Switzerland, and this is not the European Union. You have monsters to the right and to the left of you, and you want to support a government that will say, you know what, we need to open it up. By the way, let's please underline this. There has not been a statement made by the leader of Armenia about that. Not a tweet, not a peep, nothing, no condemnation, no, this is egregious, no, I'm ashamed, no, I'm in favor, whatever, nothing.
You know,
Okay?
on the trading thing really quickly, I mean, you know, it's one thing to live here in America. There's an assumption that they're not going to put arsenic in the toothpaste, right? Yeah. But what kind of protections do you think we're going to get there? Do you think they're not going to, I mean, hello, what? They don't want us on the planet, let alone in that area,
right?
You know?
Right. So
and if nobody's going to do anything about it, nobody's going to hold them accountable, then what, you know?
Yeah, right. Yeah, to you guys' point, this underlines the fact that Armenia and Azerbaijan and Artsakh cannot peacefully coexist.
No.
It's very obvious. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs did release that statement, calling this inhumane. And the Armenian ombudsman also put out statements saying how this only reinforces the fact that they have genocidal intent.
Right.
That this is state-supported Armenophobia and hatred, and that this only further underscores the fact that they want, like you said, Rich, they want all Armenians dead, their genocidal policy.
I love, with all due respect, I love and appreciate that we are quoting the Armenian Foreign Ministry and the ombudsman, but I really want to hear this from my prime minister. Okay.
Well, I mean, it's sad that we have to get more information from places like Greek City Times than we can from our own government.
Yeah, this is just to kind of round out everything. This is David, I think you kind of flagged it down. This is a month old, if I'm not mistaken, right? But Greek City Times continues to underline very key items and events, and then they come to fruition. So you see that these guys are very smart and they understand what's happening. This guy looks like an idiot, sorry. Yeah, they think that Azerbaijan is going to be launching another attack. There's evidence that it could.
Want to connect this
Yeah.
whole
Well,
thing?
right. I mean, from this, we already know that
They're already calling it Azerbaijan. Look at that.
Mhm. Yep.
Anyway,
the increase in tension in the Ukraine, this article is already called out. So it's just a matter of time before, if we're going to see the aggression on Sunik province in the spring, like the article also cautions about.
I don't think why can my brothers and sisters not understand that getting rid of this current leadership in office is step number 0. It's not even step number 1. It's a 0, and then we can start figuring things out. He wants more Russian troops. Well, I get it. I want them too. But that's also to say that he dismantled and completely brought to its knees the Armenian armed forces. Okay, completely. Okay.
During the war, crippling.
In the war.
Crippling everything.
So, and anybody that's really kind of like when you're talking about Nicole is the way forward, you really are telling me that you have zero patriotism. I'm sorry, because you're bringing up things that you want to kind of see happen through your remote activism in the diaspora, or you want some kind of a idea to come to fruition, which is clearly not coming to fruition because we got a madness in power. Okay.
I have been accused of a lot of things growing up, and I don't know how many times I'm in conversations with Armenians where they say, "Well, you don't look Armenian," or maybe you don't speak the language enough, or whatever. And there's this divide between those who are Armenian enough and who aren't. And I'll tell you something. I was raised in this country to be to participate in the system, to participate in democracy. And let me tell you something. When Armenia pivoted to being a more democratic nation, we took it in shorts for it, and we're hurting as a result because America didn't care. The Western powers that are so democratic didn't care, and they haven't supported us. And I'm not saying that we should go back to some gray market time, but again, and I've said this since the beginning, you have to know what hood you're living in. You got to know what hood you're living in. And Armenia is surrounded by non-democracies, and is trying to court a democracy that doesn't care about it. I mean, America hasn't done anything for Armenia.
Of course not.
I don't know. Anyway.
Yeah, just to close out that thought, Greg, like, I think we know and we've seen that the reason the Velvet Revolution happened and Pashinyan was allowed to even come to power, it was not really about the democracy. It was about overthrowing. It was not really about Pashinyan being the savior. It was about overthrowing what we call the old guard, right? The old guard, yes, while they were corrupt, yes, well, look, we can't even speak for what it was like to live there, for the people living there under what may have been seen as oppression by those former leaders. We can't speak for them. We wouldn't live there under them. But what we do know, especially now, brutally shown, like you said, Rich, is while those people were in power, this type of thing would never happen and never would happen, right? The complete loss of Artsakh and these 7,000 soldiers dying in this war. So we know that.
Yeah, for sure. Well, we began the week building the episode about the POWs, and I think that there's a few articles to show that are really important. I think we have been trying to fundraise for the Armenian POWs and for the wounded warriors, the Armenian wounded heroes for weeks now, and we've received a lot of donations for it. And I think we're going to still do that in the future. But you guys want to talk about some of the important highlights of what's happening right now?
Yeah, and speaking of donations, thank you to our other donors. We're up another $100 tonight. So thank you so much for everyone's support on the donations.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, it's really great. Look, the POWs, we're going to keep talking about it. We've made that commitment, right? And Rich, yes, we've raised over $2,600 for Armenian wounded heroes. We're going to keep supporting that. This needs to be and should be a top global humanitarian crisis and issue. Yet it's not, because like you've said, Rich and Greg, Armenia has zero geopolitical interest of any foreign power at all, or any foreign nation, right? So we don't hear anything about it. But we're going to keep talking about it. The statement was put out by the OSCE Minsk group, which they have not done a whole lot. They didn't do much during the war, but they're calling for the immediate return of POWs. We've seen Human Rights Watch and Amnesty post about it and share things about it, right? So that's really the latest news, and the most recent statement that's put out by the OSCE Minsk group. Is anything going to result from this? We're having theme parks being built that are actually showing the POWs in chains and glorifying them. It doesn't seem like much is going to change. We have to keep the pressure, and we'll share ways to do that towards the end of the show.
Can you imagine if the Germans had did something like that to Holocaust survivors?
I cannot.
Can you just sit on that for a second? And the world would go crazy.
Right. And then no one knows about it. Yeah, it's really, really sad.
And then when you do talk about it, I mean, people, I had someone that I used to know accused me of sucking all the air out of the room because I'm talking about this kind of stuff all the time.
Oh, well.
They can pound sand for all I care.
Exactly. We have to keep talking about it because no one else is.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Greg, do you think what's going to come from this OSCE Minsk group statement? No. They didn't even say anything during they said they put out statements during the war. Nothing happened.
The OSCE Minsk group has its head so far up its own rear that I really don't know. But the best way to describe what OSCE Minsk group is doing is when they were like talked down to when they came to meet Aliyev. There was that
exactly.
Remember, you know what I mean? Like where he almost wants nothing to do with them, and blah 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 blah. What I will tell you, friends, is that when I was talking to Nada and Alex on why I had to emphasize on Artsakh, why we must emphasize on Artsakh, and I think I mentioned it before the show. Today, I don't think any of us, if we go to Yerevan, can go to Artsakh. So congrats.
Yeah,
it's already. It's we're already there.
Yeah, that's beyond concerning, and that's news. That's new because as far as I had last heard, diasporan were still encouraged to go and help. We're still encouraged to visit.
By whom? Yeah, sure, but you know what I mean. Like this one.
Well, that's by Mr. Babayan. Excuse me. That's by Mr. Babayan.
David, I think sometimes you need to take people for their words, but sometimes you need to understand that even they themselves don't have,
sure.
Control of what's going on.
Sure. We're gonna have to keep following that, Greg. That's really, really critical. That's horrible. That's really, really bad. That's bad. Like we have to follow that.
Yo, we still got Armenians that think Artsakh is a problem, dude. Like we gotta clean our house, guys.
Yeah, I mean, Parshinyan didn't he just introduce something suggesting that we just like forget about it all? And he's been wanting to do that for a while anyway.
Well, right, and we know of his writing.
Yeah, existence was to forget about Artsakh. You know what I mean?
We know of his writings. His writings that predated his political career. Sorry, go ahead, Rich.
Yeah. No, nothing to be sorry about. I think look, we're in a position where we've got some turmoil. We have political unrest. We have a president who seems to want to get rid of what he's calling a problem area. But the reality is that the people he wants to acquiesce to are not going to stop. You could give them, some meters of land, you can give them whatever they're asking for, and they're going to keep on going. They're just going to try and legitimize it. And that's all. And they don't even care what's illegitimate because nobody's holding them accountable for it.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
my word to Pashinyan would be, at some point there has to be a line. And I would even argue to many of us in the diaspora that we have some decisions to make in the next, I wish we had months and years, but it's going to have to be sooner.
Yeah.
We're going to have to decide how we're going to choose to live. If we're going to keep living in this country, or we're going to consider going there. Because at some point, they are not going to stop coming for us, man.
No.
And if it's not, we're going to give up a little Artsakh now. It's going to be Sunni, then it's going to keep going.
Artsakh was actually the beginning of us actually pushing back on them. And for the rest of Yerevan, at least to think that that's a problem, that you want some cookie being fed to you out of Istanbul, I'm disgusted. Anyways, what I want to say is this,
Well said, Greg. I mean, that you just summed it up. And just to clarify for everybody, when we won the war in 1994 and regained our lands of Artsakh, that was pushing back. Just to clarify.
Yeah, that was pushing back. No one talks about Nakhichevan, where the whole earth has been rid of Armenian. What was it, David? You said 27,000 artifacts?
28,000. And we're seeing that happen now in Artsakh. It's already happening in Artsakh. Who knows? Like, that's already happening. We know that for a fact, right? I don't know, guys, if it's okay. I know we're going a little late. To close the loop on the news item from last week, where there may have been a plane with prisoners of war coming back from Baku. That was not the case. It was the Russian peacekeeping general on that plane who stepped off and blamed the Armenian government for misleading the population to think that there were prisoners of war on that plane. This was absolutely awful. This is absolutely awful.
Could be because I'm like, literally, I cannot, after Artsrun Hovanesyan's lie upon lie about what's going on in the war, I don't know what the Armenian government wants to put out nowadays. I don't care. I'm sorry if this seems a little bit defeatist, but it's like, we need to shake this nightmare to
very disturbing.
Figure out what to do next.
Look, could it have been they were misinformed? Maybe. Could it be that this Russian peacekeeper doesn't even care about anybody or anything? Could be. It's just, it led to, like you just showed, Rich, it led to protests against the defense ministry and so on. So it's concerning. There are no words. That's something I've been saying all the time.
So again, to finish, to close it off, obviously we got a couple of other things to say before we finish, but understand, my dear Armenian friend, if after the dozens of things post-war, not to mention just the war itself, was not enough for you to understand that there's no way you could lay in bed with the neighbors that we have. And yet you're still pursuing that rhetoric of, reform, open borders, blah, 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 blah. Well, man, I think you need to check yourself out of this nation, because you most certainly don't want anything good to happen to us. Okay?
Yeah.
And me and David were all Duhov and all that shit back in the day as well. So, but the thing is that you need to at some point go, whoa, this is too far. Like Richard said, where is your individual red line? Because if you're never if you have zero issues to worry about, then maybe your red line is never there. You know what I mean? Like, because
if you want to be a forgotten about province within the new Turkish Empire, then sure, just let's act like nothing's going on. But if you want to act like, well, wait a minute, we got a country, people that fought and died for it.
Okay.
We got to contribute to it.
And obviously, before we finish up, Richard, you wanted to queue up our the next week's episode, right? However,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Should we talk briefly about the action items, or you got?
Yeah, I've got them all
you guys call it.
up. So let me just, let me get this one.
Go for it, man. Go for it.
There's a lot to do leading up to April 24th. Right now, there's a bunch of movement moving towards getting President Biden to reaffirm the Armenian genocide. And my little 2 cents is that President Joseph Biden has one, and I mean only one, opportunity to get this right, and that is this year.
Absolutely.
So there are a few different places that you can go to learn a little bit about how to push President Biden to do the right thing. One of them is here, with the Armenian Assembly. And we've got, a little bit more from the Armenian Assembly. You can learn a little bit about how to, you can complete the form and you can get a little bit more set up. You can also, I guess the ANCA is not, something's going on here with the website.
Oh, okay.
But at any rate, okay. So
no, you're good. Yeah, there's the Assembly and ANCA, right? Have both, and we encourage everybody to do both. We need more outreach, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So sign up here, and and it will, we'll put all the links there for you.
Plus, it's on the link tree. It's all there. Everything's there, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Next week will be a really, I think, an interesting show. We've got, and I'll actually pull it up right now. We have Matthew. Come on, come on.
Yeah, great job, Rich, in securing our guests next week along the theme of historic Armenia, right, and leading up to Armenian genocide commemoration, right?
Right. So Matthew Koranian is an author and photographer, and he's done this huge, amazing, beautiful book, which, by the way, I ordered hardcover. It's gorgeous. It's absolutely a magnificent book. And the purpose behind next week's show and having Matthew on as a guest is to talk about, the Armenian Highland and to talk about the lands in addition to the people. But, we so often have been focused on Artsakh, rightfully so, and what is left of Armenia in Yerevan and the provinces that we still have. But sometimes we forget that Armenia has been such a huge and a vast landscape. And so he's going to share with us some pictures, and he's going to go through some really interesting information. I think we're going to try and make the connection between what it is that we're fighting for when we talk about genocide recognition. These lands are our this is our history. This comes from our this is part of our legacy, and we need to do everything that we can to preserve it. So I'm really looking forward to the next week's show.
Yeah, likewise. That's going to be really great to be able to talk to him and hear his experience putting that book together, and how it all relates to even today, right? And how it all relates to the genocide and recognizing that. So,
yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
for sure.
Well, all right, folks, we're 17 minutes over.
it's okay.
No, well, I want to stay on on the dot. I want to thank everybody that's so participated. That's always the viewers that are interested in understanding what's going on. I know we don't bring all the news. I know we don't bring like 99% of it, but we try to kind of aggregate what's important, and give you the most amount of information, obviously with some opinion from yours truly as well. But when things get tense, I can't just be like, hey, everything's okay, because it's not. I think it was a great show, guys. Thank you for putting it together, David. I know you put a lot of work in getting the guests here. We have an amazing show next Wednesday. This is somebody I've been following for a while. It's going to be cool to talk to this gentleman on air.
Yeah.
Especially, so much is focused on Armenia right now and on Artsakh. I always, in the conversation of Artsakh, talk about Nakhichevan. I'm a Georgian Armenian. I talk about Jalakh, which is like, north of the border. We don't ever talk about that. By the way, Jalakhtis have been always held captive by the fact that we always need good relations and trade with Georgia. But that doesn't mean that discrimination is not there. I can talk for that for hours from personal experiences, Georgians are not friends. They clearly show that they're not friends. But what we ultimately are forgetting is the 80% of Armenia, from Urfa all the way to Garin, my company's name, Erzurum, north to south, of all those Armenian lands that are still in Turkey. We can't forget that, man.
Yep. Eastern Turkey is Western Armenia.
I call it occupied Western Armenia. But you know, one parting shot about next week's show. Matthew and I, when we spoke, had a really great perspective on the Western regions, and I hope that it will offer everybody who chooses to watch a little bit more hope going into April 24th, because I know from my experience, at least, I can't speak for anybody else, it's a very heady and very heavy time. The 100th anniversary just broke me. It just was so heavy, and so many events and so much to process, and such huge things happening, that it can be very, very challenging. So if you have Armenian friends, you better be nice with them, because they are probably in a bad way. And hopefully Matthew will give us a lot more hope and perspective, which is what I gleaned out of our conversation. So thanks for that.
And I'll let David have the last word to end the show. But while you were talking, Richard, I was thinking, should I say this or not? We've been down this road before. We've done a lot of political advocacy. We've done a lot of political organizing in just actual American politics. You know, I was on the presidential campaign and congressional campaigns. And I'll say this, after I was reading non-Armenian news, I'm going to say this on the air, and we can rewind tape and hopefully say I'm wrong. I'm going to say that President Joseph Biden is not going to accept the Armenian.
Oh,
really?
No, I don't believe he will either.
Huh?
I don't believe he will either.
Yeah, because there's always a reason, and the reason is just always kind of around the corner, and it's always there. This time around, it's going to be his desire to yet again woo Turkey to help it screw over Russia. Now it's a different way, and that cat that keeps on reinventing its 9 lives over and over again is going to kind of try to do it again, which is Ankara now will try to yet again meander its way into Washington DC's already open arms, because they could care less about us. So I want to double down and say no. He will not recognize the Armenian
genocide. He proves us wrong. I doubt it, but I hope he proves us wrong.
Greg, I mean, that you frame it that way, that is concerning, and you might be right. You might be 100% right. I am
for $100 on the fact that he's right, but whatever.
I hope not. But here's the thing. Look, I'm going to be cautiously optimistic, only because, well, 2 reasons, and then we got to close. 2 reasons. One, there's White House source intel that he is going to. I can't remember that before, at least in my, I don't know how many years of advocacy and paying attention. I was a little kid. I didn't really know. I would go to commemoration events, which, by the way, everybody, Saturday, April 24 at 1 p.m. at Mount Davidson Cross will be the Bay Area Armenian Genocide Commemoration event. It is in person. It will be distanced with masks outdoors. Just wanted to throw that in there. But I can't recall there ever being actual intelligence. Ian Bremmer shared that. The other thing is, for political reasons, just like in October 2019 and December 2019, when Congress recognized it, we are in a situation where if it's for any political reason, it's now. And so to your point, Rich, he has one chance, and it's now. And if he doesn't, he's like 44 presidents before him, and the Department of Defense wins, Turkey wins, as usual.
Well, yeah, I mean, for sure.
There's not just
taxing. The whole thing is taxing. It is emotionally and intellectually taxing to continually be in a space of hope and deflation,
Right.
And
look,
it's too much.
So the best thing we can do is, like we shared, right, Rich, is take action, contact our representatives. I have other things people can be doing, but again, we only have so much time. If you are a constituent of certain members of Congress, you can reach out to them directly. I mean, there are many, just so everyone knows, both ANC and Assembly, they are really attacking this from every possible angle to get to Biden. Whether it makes a difference or not, we have yet to find out.
Well,
On that note, I think we should wrap it up.
all right. So thanks everybody for watching. Please watch next week. It's going to be amazing. And take care of yourselves. Take care of your families. And
well said. And good night. Thanks for donating.